a life well lived is when you've approached life with everything you've got to make things good for yourself, for others. To not say like, oh, I could have done this, or I should have done this, and then I didn't because I was scared.
Hey everyone, welcome to Own Your Story. Today our guest is Jolene. So Jolene specializes in mental health, which is very uncommon in Malaysia, I would say. And right now she's a supervisor with Early Autism Project Malaysia. I guess we will start with the first big question, why? So why do you choose to specialize in mental health? Because you have a master, right, in mental health studies.
Yeah.
And is there a personal story or experience that inspire or motivate you to go into this very uncommon industry?
I'm hoping it's more common nowadays. Up to my A levels,
Yeah.
I actually wanted to go into English, and then for A levels, one of the subjects I took was psychology. So I had this amazing lecturer. Her name is Miss Ida, and she really brought that subject to life. She told us what all the experiments were like all these details about the human mind and all the research that went into it. And then I would remember, when I come back for dinner and I visit with my family, I talk to them about all these experiments, all these things that I've learned. And then one day my dad was like, are you sure you want to do English? Because it sounds like you're more interested in psychology now. And then that really sort of clicked in my brain, oh, actually, maybe I do. And then that was right before I was going to apply for university as well. So then I decided to switch and I applied to psychology instead. And then after that, I really enjoyed mental health, specifically in psychology, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, I see. So in your work, what would be the biggest challenge working in this industry specifically?
I would say it's helping others sort of see the why or see the a different perspective. So, I mean, I work with clients with autism specifically, but in mental health in general, you always get a stigma or what people think it is, and you have to really fight it sometimes because you might meet resistance, and you might meet people who think a certain way, but clinically, and the research has already shown that's not what it is. It's not like a choice. It's not something that they want to have as a condition. So then really a big challenge in my work as well, but specifically within more generally within mental health, is you have to really work with all these different expectations, these different personalities, and help them see the big picture, help them see there's hope, there's reason behind this.
I see. So how do you, in the industry that is I would say full of negativity, people think about it negatively.
They do,
and then
sometimes.
a lot of stigma attached to it as well. It's when for say depression, a lot of people say just cheer up.
Yeah.
And then they thought
I really hate that sentence, by the way.
Cheer up can fix it. So when you're in an industry like this, how do you keep yourself motivated?
That's a really good question. I would say it helps when there are people that keep me motivated to do the work that I do. So I have a great team in my company, and they're always there's a culture of supporting each other and keeping each other motivated. So that's something that really keeps me going. I'm a very people person.
So basically, it's the environment that you're in.
Yeah. So the environment that I'm in really helps. So to not in the big scheme of things, to not just focus on the negative, but to always draw motivation from the people closer to me. So keep the more positive stuff closer to me.
I see. Do you have a drive, a motivation, so specific, say, goal at the moment that keeps your fire burning?
A specific goal. I mean, I'm very much on the awareness side now. I really want to get more people aware, because I think education is one of the building blocks, the foundation of getting people to improve their mental health. So I'm working with you, and I'm working on some of the projects, but I'm also hoping that I can just go out to the public more and actually spread awareness. And that's a big goal. That's a big personal motivational drive, that it doesn't just end at certain people knowing about mental health and what to do with it, but as many people as I can just physically talk to, and who are able to see this kind of material to learn about it. Yeah, so that's a big drive for me.
Alright. So in terms of stigma, is there any common myth that you would like to share and then to sort of like correct it
Yeah.
through this
Man,
podcast.
this will make the podcast a lot more better. I think one very big myth that people have about mental health is that it's a choice, or that it's something that the person has elected to have with them. So what a lot of people might not understand is that mental health comes from different, like it's influenced by different factors. There's biology, there's the childhood that you grew up in, there's the social environment that you have. These are all factors that play into whether your mental health is good or whether it's poorer. And a big myth is that people think, oh, you should snap out of it. You should snap out of the depression because don't you have the power to fix it? And the answer isn't as straightforward as that. So the big myth is that it's as simple as getting over it, or it's as simple as taking some medicine. It's actually it's like you wouldn't say that about someone with a broken leg, right? You would say, hey, you should go see a doctor, you should go get some medicine and work towards getting better. But people don't think about that in terms of emotional health or mental health. They think it's just something you just get over it. So that's a big myth, and I'd like to correct that and say that it's actually a lot of hard work on those who have mental health issues to fix it.
I see. So, like, as a person, how have you evolved, like, from the day you entered this world, this industry, until today? I believe there are, like, 2 to 3 years of experience already.
Yeah.
How have you changed as a person?
I have become a bit more realistic. I think in university, you have this grand idea of what you want to do, who you want to be, and, where you want to go. Things don't always work out that way, and I didn't end up where I thought I'd be. So I didn't think I would end up in the field of autism, but I did. Right. And I think going with the flow has become a bit better. Like I've become a bit better at going with the flow, and I really do love my job now. I've evolved in that I've become more confident. So I think I grew up with a sense of insecurity about what will people think of me? Am I really good enough? How would I look to others? But now I'm very much of the mindset that you should just be comfortable being yourself, and that I have a lot to offer. I just sometimes forget it, and to not be so self-conscious, but to actually just go on, just keep being me and keep doing what I do.
How did that switch come about? What have you experienced to come with that transformation?
People who I work with, I know I keep coming back to the people. I'm such a people person, but the people that I've worked with and the friends that I've made along the way who've stayed on, they really influence me because they won't let me sink into that mindset. They would say, they would give me a different perspective and say like, hey, why don't we think about this from a different aspect? And it's the fresh perspective I need, because then it doesn't let me sink further. It propels me forward and gets me going, oh, okay, let me think about that in a different way. And then, I really evolved in that sense because they've given me ways to think that are different. Yeah.
I see. And then like nowadays, like especially in today's, like in the era of digitalization and everything, like more and more people are talking about happiness.
Yeah, they are.
So do you have any tips for managing like emotional roller coaster and stress? Simple one that most people can implement in their daily life.
I can give 2. One is when it comes to being in the actual moment of stress, and that's what. So obviously you've got that fight or flight kind of response, right? You're either panicking about the situation, it's causing you stress, or you're just feeling this need to push on to fight and not acknowledge the stress. So I would recommend to remove yourself from that situation and not make that situation the moment in which you solve everything, but remove yourself, take time to recharge. So let's say in work there was a big situation and I'm feeling very, very stressed about it. Staying stressed in that situation wouldn't help me think up a solution. I need to get out of there, maybe eat dinner, just listen to some music, go on into a different sort of a different frame of mind. But to come back to it with a purpose, with solution. So rather than burying it or not acknowledging it, to actually come back to the stress and say, okay, what can I do to fix this?
So in a way, it's being self-compassionate. It's like treat yourself better.
I think it's a lot of people
Yeah.
think that you have to solve the problem. Everything's gonna fall apart if I don't fix it immediately. And sometimes even 1 or 2 hours just stepping away really helps clear my mind. But in terms of mentally preparing yourself for stress,
Yeah.
it really helps to remember the reason that the stress might have come about, and to sort of think of it in the sense of, okay, I'm dealing with this now, but it's because it's part of my job, and because I'm capable of handling this. So you know, I to give yourself that strength and that credit, and to go, yeah, okay, it's a bit stressful now. I'm gonna cry, but I'm just not going to. I'm gonna remember the reason why I'm doing this, and then to think of that end goal. So like for me, it's, you know, I want to help kids with autism lead better lives, and I want to give their families hope, right? So at that moment, as you're dealing with this thing happening or that thing happening, you're going like, okay, it's fine. There's a bigger reason behind all of this. It's not just at that moment.
What would you say are the best investment that you have made in the past 3 years? It can be in terms of time, energy, or effort.
I would say that a big cause of my physical tiredness and my mental health dropping a bit was having to travel so far between work, and I live quite far out from the city, so I've had to travel in a lot, and that would take 1 to 2 hours every road. So that means like going there, coming back. So basically about a sixth of my day would be spent traveling, and that was really taking a toll on me. So I would say one of the best investments I would have done in the past few years was to move closer to work. And I know it sounds like, oh no, now you get to work so often, you know, you get to like you always stay in the office, but it's actually not true. It's so refreshing to have some time to have breakfast and to prepare everything. Or if you really are tired, to sleep in a bit longer, but still make it to work without having to wait through the jam. And it's really given me time to you know, do my work, go home, and I don't have to spend another 2 hours in the jam. So then that's been a good investment. It's been expensive, but it's a good investment.
Right. It's like investment that gives you time in return.
Exactly. So it is some money in exchange for time, but I feel like my time has now become so valuable because I don't have a lot of it left, right?
And time is something that cannot be measured by money.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there any book that has the biggest impact in terms of your worldview or perspective?
A book that I really love is called The Little Prince.
Oh,
I'm not sure you've heard of it. It's by a French.
Classic.
Yeah, it's a classic by a French author whose name to this day I still pronounce wrong. But The Little Prince is a book that I actually got when I was quite young. And I read it, and it was such an interesting story. It had some fancy way of writing, some sad points. But the best part about this book is that I continued to grow up, and I had the copy of the book, and I would reread it, and every time it would teach me something new.
Right.
And I was like, how is this possible? It's the same book, same story, but I realized what was changing was me.
Yes.
And that book is a book that grows with you and changes it. So it starts from when you're young, and it's like a children's story, and then it starts becoming a philosophy-driven lesson. It becomes a commentary on life and friendship. It becomes a warning, because there's a part in the book that shows the little prince visiting a planet with a businessman, and all he's doing is typing numbers and saying, "Can't talk now, you know, I've got so many numbers," counting the numbers, and it's a warning. It's like saying, hey, there's some aspects of life there's some amazing things in life that will fly by if you're not looking up. And I was like, it keeps bringing in a fresh perspective to me as I grow older and older, and I'm like, oh, it's such a good book.
So we are reaching the end of our conversation. So before we go to the last questions, how can people connect with you, or if they're interested in your work, how can they find out more?
Okay, so if you're interested specifically in autism or where I work, you can just Google EAP Malaysia, short for Early Autism Project. And actually our website has a lot of different resources about kids with autism, or interesting articles, and a lot of tips and videos as well if you need that. That's one. If you want to contact me personally, if you want to chat about mental health, or you want to ask any questions, I can, like, my email address is Jolene Chong at autismmalaysia.com, all joined together.
Yeah, we'll put a link.
Yeah, I'll put the link below there.
Yeah.
Or you can find me on Facebook as Jolene Chong as well. Yeah.
All right, cool. So we go to the last questions, which has a two-part. So first is, what is the impact that you want to make in the world? And it's a big, but it's like, at this point, what is the impact that you want to make?
Point.
And the second part of it is, how do you define a life well lived?
I love that question. The impact that I want to make is definitely to increase awareness of autism, but also of mental health. So I am working predominantly in autism, but I have such a passion for mental health all across the different disorders. And I'd love to make an impact in giving people more tools and more awareness of the topic. So that's why you're all welcome to ask me questions, and to reach out to make it more accessible, to make this knowledge accessible, to make getting help more accessible. That's always been a big goal, such a big dream, but it's not impossible, because it is getting better in Malaysia. There are more facilities involved. So yeah, that's very much an impact-driven goal that I want. How do I define a life well lived? I'd say it's a life where no matter what point you're in, where you're at, you make the best of the opportunities you get, and not to think in just one square box, but to think outside the box and to try things, to really explore life, because there's so much out there. And I used to live in England, and I used to think that was amazing. But in Malaysia now, I'm discovering so much about my own country and so much about life here, and that's so amazing, because it really shifts my perspective that even home has so much to offer.
Yeah. And it's the land that we grow up that nurture our growth as well.
I'm really getting that. Maybe it's an old person kind of thing, but I'm really getting that feel of a connectivity to connectedness to my country. A life well lived is when you've approached life with everything you've got to make things good for yourself, for others. To not say like, oh, I could have done this, or I should have done this, and then I didn't because I was scared, or because it just wasn't the right time. To really just approach it with all that you have, the best that you have, and then that's when I could say, yep, that was a good life. There's so much everyone can do, and I think sometimes you need someone else or something else to show you that. But yeah, I'm hoping that's what everybody gets in the end as well. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So this concludes our conversation today. So thank you so much for giving your time to have this conversation. A little bit educational as well in terms of mental health.
Yeah, I mean, thanks so much for inviting me. It was like I had a lot of fun looking at the questions and thinking up what to say.
No problem. So we look forward to collaborate with you and see what can we do in terms of cultivating more happiness in our society, in this city.
Let's start with this city and roll out nationwide.
So that's the end of that. Thank you and bye guys. See you next week.